two 1 and 3 teams need a win. Kind of simple as that. Injury list: Jonathan Banks, Austin Safarian, Russell Shepard, and Evan Smith aren't quite there, ready to practice. Rest of the guys are all able to do something. When there's a bitter taste in your mouth, you can't wait to get to the practice field. It seems like you really do put the game, the last game, what's win or loss, you put it behind once you get on the practice field. So that was good. Question?
Lovie, Bill Pauline and Pat Curran did make a big fuss on NFL radio about how the limited padded practices really are a real detriment to developing young offensive linemen. Yet it seems Donovan Smith and Ali Marpet have been able to develop. Can you talk about their theory on the limited padded practices, messing up offensive lines, and maybe how well the two rookies have adjusted to that?
I would agree that when you're a young player, I mean, every practice you have, every padded practice for a lineman that you have only stimulates their growth. So I agree with that. But the competitive advantage is what we have to look at. We're all going by the same rules. So yeah, you can make that case for more days in the off season. There's a lot of things that could help develop our players. There are reasons why we don't do it. So we're going with what we have. Young players, we have to use the time we have to just get them ready as quick as we possibly can.
As far as the offensive line goes, Lovie, I mean, 2 weeks ago you faced a really good pass rush and held up. And then last week you were able to run the ball for a good number of yards. So are you starting to see sort of a standard start to develop, a consistency among that group, which is still fairly new to each other?
Well, it's new, and you know, Rick, they haven't played together that long a period of time,
right.
And we're still developing,
sure.
You know, and but to be able to see us have success against the pass, against a pretty good front, and to be able to run the football, that's showing us what we can be. But now it's about being consistent with that effort, and that's for our entire football team right now. We see signs in every area. We see signs of what we can be, but the good teams are able to maintain that, and you expect to have that type of effort each time, and you start getting it. That's where we want to be.
Look, you impressed with the consistency you've seen out of Doug Martin? It seems like every game he's just churning and churning, and kind of giving you the same effort certainly every week.
Yes, I am. As we talk about our football team, we haven't been consistent. Doug Martin, though, has. It's been pretty much the same type of play from him each week. There's, you know, in order for that to happen, you have to say that we've done some good things, you know, up on the line to have holes for a running back to be able to run. But his play has been consistent throughout. We will need that. We just need everyone to have consistent play like that. But very pleased with, you know, we talked from all season, training camp on. Doug has gotten himself in a position to play well each game, and that's what he's doing.
When he came back for the start of camp this year, not training camp, just OTAs, did you notice anything different about him? Demeanor or?
No, I mean, his
physically?
demeanor is the same. I mean, Doug's pretty much, you know, not pretty much, Doug's hound life every day. Smile, engaging. That's how he's always been. So, no. And you don't really listen to an awful lot about what a player, everybody says they're going to do. You're going to be consistent, play good ball each week. That's what you want to do. You have to let it play out. But he has. He didn't do a whole lot of talking.
Yeah. And
nobody's really interested in the guys that do a lot of talking. You just want to see the guys that keep performing, and that's what he's doing.
Coach, when you look at last year's film of Blake Bortles and what he's done so far this year, do you see the improvement there? And if you do, are those the kind of things that you look forward to your quarterback that went through some of the struggles that Bortles went through last year, turning things around later this year and next year?
Yes, first you have to have talent. Blake Bortles has all of the talent that you look for. Can throw the ball, make any of the throws you ask him to. Good mobility too. He didn't get credit for what he can do to buy a little bit of time to throw the football. But all young quarterbacks have to go through the same process. And if you're talented, you're going to see improvement each week. And you know, over a year being an NFL quarterback, we see him growing. And he's come a long ways. He's a good football player. And We just don't want him to be at his best. We want him to have some young quarterback struggles this week.
You're probably tired of us bringing up the home.
Well, you don't have to. If you know that I'm tired, we can move on to something else.
Well, I was going to say that, Lovie, you also know that the subject's going to keep coming up until you end it, until you end that home losing streak. How much is that eating at you in terms of, now that you're dealing with your home fans and you want to win for your home fans?
You're talking about the 2 home games we've lost this year.
Well, it stretches a little bit further.
Not for us, we did. It's a 2015 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we're disappointed that we lost 2 home games. Yes, but we have an opportunity to do it again. So can't live in the past. We're a better football team, and eventually, if you keep doing things the right way, you get over that hump, and that's what we're going to do. Frustration with the 2 losses we have this year. Yes, I understand that for our home crowd. They've been outstanding, and I think our fans see where we're headed, and they're going to be there with us when we do get that first win this year.
Does it make any sense, Lovie, that you've shown more composure kind of on the road this year, more so than at home?
You want to play good either on the road and at home, but if you had your preference, you want to play your best ball at home. You want to get that home field advantage where it's tough to come in here. That's what we'll eventually have. It's good that we, play, good ball on the road, but eventually we're going to do it at home. Why not this week?
Look, the interceptions will happen with quarterbacks or young quarterbacks because of misreads and maybe bad throws. But it's one of the hardest things to do is to take a guy who's picked high and starts right away and understand that, you're not the only guy out here, that you're kind of a facilitator. It's not all on your shoulders. Is there a temptation of those guys to feel like, hey, I got to lead us out of this, or sort of a thing? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I think absolutely. I think, Rick, just not quarterback position. I think you can look, I always talk about, quarterback versus quarterback, running back versus running back. So you are trying to do that. And I think as a competitor, yes. But at the same time, you have to get your hand burned in the fire.
So you don't.
And then you start seeing it. And for us, it's about the turnover ratio each week. If you look in the league, just not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that's what it's about. And you eventually get that. Just talking about Jameis's interception. I mean, first interception, good play by a very good football player that squatted down on the route. Normally he's not there. Tip ball, one great play by a linebacker. So these things will happen, and you hit those, like we've hit those. But there were a lot of good balls that Jameis Winston threw in that game, and we're just going to see more of those.
Lovie, along those lines, is this week maybe a chance to learn a little bit about Jameis? We saw him play strongly, or he's coming off that 4 interception game, and if he rebounds, then I'll probably say something. But what do you think you'll learn about?
Well, I think you learn from every situation you're in, tough situation, great things that happen to you, and that's what he's gone through. In a month, 4 games of the football season, he has had, the different tough emotions that you go through during the football season. He's been through that. He has. We saw him come back from a tough performance early on and bounce back that next week, and that's what we're going to see. He's already past that, and again, it's just not about him. When we have one of our players, one of our teammates, that's had a couple tough things happen to him, it's about the others rallying around him. That's what we need to do. As I see it, if you have a lot of turnovers, you need more takeaways. So we're going to keep harping on that, and eventually as a football team, we're going to get it done.
Lovie, you don't know if you'll have Jonathan Banks on Sunday or not, but how do you feel about the depth you have at cornerback right now?
You always want more depth, and when you lose one of your starting players, it's not a good thing. But we do feel like, don't think that we're going to be have a handicap anything like that this week. If Jonathan can't play, the other guys have stepped up. Mike Jenkins, Tim Jennings, both of them have stepped up. Of course, Alton Vernon. So we moved up Jude last week. So if he can't go, we'll be okay.
Lovie Alton, obviously, he's got a Pro Bowl in his resume. started here for 16 straight games, and then he loses that starting job. He came back last week on special teams, made some big plays for you guys. How impressed were you with the way he took that attitude towards the special teams part of the play and stood out there?
I think, Rod, that's your job as a football player. You're going to be in different roles each week. So I expect everybody to, whatever we say we need to do, this combination we need to go with this week, expect the guys to accept it and do the best at it, whatever that role might be. That's what Vern has done. Alteron Verner is not out of our plans by any means. We will find a way to get him on the football field. He's going to help us win a lot of games around.
Coach, one of your major pillars defensively is getting pressure with 4 guys up front. If that's not happening, does the cover 2 become a liability?
The cover 2 one. Throw that question at me one more time.
The basic pillar of the cover 2 is getting pressure with 4 guys and covering with 7. If that's not happening and you got a blitz or you got a change, does that become a liability then?
I think it's a liability. We can't get pressure with our 4-man rush. Yes, that is a liability. That just can't happen. And I don't think it'll happen. We have good enough rushers where we can do that. In an ideal world, we want to get in situations where it's more, where we really judge that 4-man rush is based on, 3rd and longer situation, where we can play some of our, one of our signature coverages and things like that. But I think our pass rush has been fairly good at times, and that it'll only get better.
Well, you had a bunch of talented rookie receivers in camp. Made the decision this week to bring Dante Dye up from the practice squad. What has he shown you, and what does his speed specifically add to this offense this week?
Well, what he adds to our offense is that, we have some big receivers, big fast receivers, but the quick, fast, we don't have. That's what we're really missing a little bit in our receiving core. That's what he brings to it. And how a guy moves up is that when you're on the practice squad, you go against the defense every day. So we get a chance to really see you versus a good group, a starting group of defenders each day. So you get a great evaluation. And that's why we moved him up, because he's had a lot of success. We see what he's been able to do consistently. And it's just not, one time. We've seen that from him, and we think, if he's active this week, he will give us something that we haven't had.
What would a win mean, Lovie? Starting the second quarter of the season, first quarter didn't go the way you wanted it to go. A bye week on the horizon. A lot of dynamics at play for this game.
It'll mean a lot. Just, I talk on game. You just play the first quarter, and it hadn't gone exactly how you wanted, and you come out, boom, big play, to start the second quarter. Momentum shift right away. Then for you to finish that way on a high going into the bye week, of course, is big. We talked about this win would mean so much. I'm talking home win, but getting a win right now, just right where we are. We've had some things go against us, but to be 2-3 at this stage, we can live with that. It's something to work with. And again, we just need to see it on the scoreboard. We need to be able to find the win, because I know we're getting better as a football team. We're going to be a good football team this year. It's going to happen this week.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.